My friends, YouTube is attacking this channel once again. They have unsubscribed thousands of subscribers without their consent or knowledge. Please make sure that you are still subscribed, and please, if you are not subscribed, click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and help us to keep fighting this war to save pop culture. The odds are stacked against us, but if we all stick together, we can still make a difference. Thank you for watching, and now, on to the video. Is George Lucas returning to Star Wars? There have been rumblings to this effect in the rumor pipeline for the last 18 months at least. At various points, my spies have reported variations of this idea, that George Lucas is coming back to judge the living cultural vandals at Disney and raise the dead franchise from the grave. This is an extremely persistent rumor that seemingly refuses to die, and now there's a brand new rumor, courtesy of Roger Christian, by way of Star Wars Theory, that indeed we're going to get some brand new Lucas Star Wars, a rumor that echoes things my spies have been told as well. In this video, I'm going to examine this rumor, the details of it, the probability of it being true, and what it would mean for Disney Star Wars if it was true. Finally, my Hollywood spies chimed in on this several times yesterday, and I have a brand new hot off the press update from my Hollywood spies I received not an hour ago that you will not want to miss.
I'm interested to hear your analysis of this latest rumor, how likely it is to be true or false, but I confess I'm more interested in hearing your opinion about whether or not at this point we should give a damn. Even if George Lucas came back, could it save Star Wars? Color this particular skull in a bubble of entropy skeptical.
I hear you, Skull of Calderon. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's get right to this rumor. In an interview with Star Wars Theory, Roger Christian planted the seeds for this latest rumor. For those of you who don't know, Roger Christian is an Academy Award-winning set director on the original Star Wars and a second unit director who worked with Lucas on Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace. And here is what he said about George Lucas, quote, "I think he's coming back, you know. I'm pretty sure now that he's doing a series. I think that they're now bringing him into the fold. From what I hear, because there's a Star Wars live-action series coming," unquote.
Now wait a minute, that's all this guy said? That he thinks Lucas is doing a Star Wars series?
Well, that's all that he said originally, Harvey Cthulhu. It was a casual comment, but an interesting one. Could it be true that George Lucas is going to be making a new live-action Disney Star Wars series? Well, the timing of this leak both supports and debunks this rumor from a certain point of view, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi. For example, the fact that George Lucas threw all his support to Bob Iger against Nelson Peltz in the Disney board proxy war strongly suggests that Iger made some kind of deal with Lucas. After all, Iger basically lied to Lucas in the contract negotiations to buy Lucasfilm, strongly suggesting but not contractually guaranteeing that Iger would use Lucas's outlines for the Star Wars sequel trilogy Disney would produce, which turned out to be a load of hooey, or bullshit, as it is known today. Lucas had no reason to smile on Iger in this struggle unless he was getting something he really wanted out of it. Could that something have been a deal to come back to Star Wars and make this new series? That argument tends to support the reality of this rumor. But what do my Hollywood spies have to say about this? Well, early yesterday, they got on the case, and they found out some very interesting things about Jon Favreau and about George Lucas. Let's get to what my Hollywood spies had to say about this, and folks, you have got to watch this video to the end, because as you will see, the evaluation of my Hollywood spies of this rumor changes as they gather more information. I'm going to present you the whole timeline, and you'll want to be here to see where they wind up. At this point, I must state that what I'm about to share with you is information provided by sources claiming knowledge of the situation, but since I cannot personally verify any of this, I'm presenting it as unverified rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. So yesterday at 10:10 a.m., I received the following message from my spies, quote, "The rumor mill is still firing on all cylinders. There's a new rumor floating around that George Lucas is coming back to Star Wars. We may look into this for fun, but we don't believe it. What we do believe are the sources saying Disney is beyond desperate to get any kind of attention on The Acolyte. Then at 10:49 a.m., I received a follow-up as my spies were busy beating the bushes. Quote, "We are working as fast as we can on this. That being said, there's not much verification because this is very new information. As you know, we've passed along the following rumors. Jon Favreau may be gone. George Lucas may be coming back. Do we believe either? Right now, we believe these rumors are false and pushed by Disney in order to get any kind of action with The Acolyte. So why The Acolyte? As far as we can tell, there's a lot riding on this show. We know for a fact that show cost $350 million plus, very plus. That being said, we're going to go out on a limb here and predict in a week or two there will be a rumor that KK is out or in trouble, whatnot. If this happens, we may have a bit more to say about this. Let's wait and see if this happens." Quote, "Well, the story does not end there, my friends. Literally minutes before I started recording this very video, I received a huge update from my Hollywood spies, and they changed their opinion. This is what they had to say. Quote, "This is yet more very new information and could help explain some of the rumors about Jon Favreau. According to a trusted source, George Lucas is coming back to Star Wars, and this time KK can't stop him. According to this source, this is how this rumor is true. Our source told us. So do you guys recall the proxy battle just a few months ago? Do you recall that George Lucas backed Bob Iger? My spies replied, yes, he sold out. Our source continued, not necessarily. I'll pose a question. What do you suppose Bob Iger wanted more than anything during the proxy fight? To keep Peltz off the board. And what would you think Bob would have been willing to do to accomplish this? My spies replied, anything. And the source replied, correct. So what happens if Bob called George and asked for his support? George could pretty much get what he wanted, and that is exactly what happened. My spies then wrapped up this update with the following comments, quote, "To be clear, we trust this source, and there seems to be fire here. When we asked about Jon Favreau, it was basically what we already knew. Jon is not happy with the current state of Star Wars, but he's in Georgia working on Mando and Baby Yoda stuff," unquote. So my friends, we now have confirmation from a trusted source that indeed, Lucas made a deal to return to Star Wars on whatever terms he wanted, and it seems we now have confirmation of the possibility I raised in my recent video about Jon Favreau leaving. In that video, I reported what was being circulated in the rumor mill, considering the evidence supporting it, and then I added the following caveat from my spies, quote, "So we've been talking to sources, and there's some interesting stuff being discussed. There's a good number of people claiming that Disney is beyond desperate to get any kind of traction with The Acolyte. It's not trending. No one is talking about it outside of bots and shills, and a number of sources claim that Disney let this leak, that Jon may leave in hopes that people would be interested and start talking about Star Wars again. This also leads us to think that no one is even bothering to search for anything Star Wars related. Disney has truly killed this franchise, if this is a fact." Unquote. It appears that indeed, Disney is leaking these various rumors in an attempt to get people talking about Star Wars again, since it seems The Acolyte may be their last chance, and it's looking like it's going to be a huge bomb. Disney leaked the Favreau rumor to get the conversation going, and they leaked the Lucas thing for the same reason.
I don't know, man. I kind of think maybe Lucas is coming back, but what does it matter? I used to get excited about the idea of George Lucas coming back to save Star Wars, but now it just feels hollow to me. It feels like a vain and empty hope, not a new hope. I mean, George Lucas has been more of an idea and a myth to desperate fans now for a long time. For me, that myth was destroyed when Lucas sided with Iger in the Disney proxy wars, basically guaranteeing that Disney Star Wars will continue to suck and suck hard by voting all his shares to keep the same white slavers that abuse Star Wars in power to keep carrying on the awful work. And that's the opposite of salvation, dude. And worse than that, it doomed the MCU as well. Remember, George Lucas is the reason why fans can't see the original uncut versions of the original Star Wars trilogy, and that alone is reason to condemn him. I agree with Harvard Cthulhu. Lucas really pissed me off by siding with Iger, giving him a license to keep destroying Star Wars and Marvel and everything associated with old Disney.
So, what is my opinion about all this? I'm thinking it's increasingly likely that this option I mentioned in that video about Jon Favreau is most likely the case, and the latest rumor about George Lucas returning makes me highly suspicious that Disney is desperate to start any kind of buzz going about Star Wars to overcome the enormous inertia surrounding Star Wars due to fan apathy and hostility. The main point is, I cannot forgive Lucas for stabbing fans in the back by giving his stock proxy to Iger because it condemned not only Star Wars, but Marvel and everything under Disney's control to oblivion, just like the original theatrical cuts of the Star Wars trilogy. As to whether we'll ever see another George Lucas Star Wars project, it appears a deal has likely been made, but whether the series will actually be made, only time will tell. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.